Hey, it's Luke here and welcome back to the Transcending Thought Channel and podcast. I'm combining psychology with spirituality in these videos to help you to heal and manifest a better life. The topic of this video is enlightenment, what it is and how to get it. So I do not view enlightenment as a destination. I do not view enlightenment as something that you work towards and eventually one day you will have it. Viewing this in that way makes it so unhelpful, and it actually blocks you experiencing what that deep word actually points to. Most people view enlightenment as something that you go and get or attain or work towards. But when you view it in that way, what happens is you enter seeking mode and you become a spiritual seeker. A spiritual seeker is someone that seeks enlightenment. They are looking for it. Over there, somewhere, where is it? Or I have something wrong with me, I have too much sin, I have too much whatever, karma, and I can't get it. I have to work towards it, I have to work towards it and get rid of my karma, get rid of my sin, and once I've done all of that, then I can be enlightened. And because of that, you put it in the future, you're looking towards it, you're trying to get it, but you don't have it now, so you're seeking. And all of the time you're seeking, you don't have. Seeking implies not having. Enlightenment is not something that you gain. It's not something that you attract. It's not something that you add on to yourself. Enlightenment is the simple recognition of who you are in your essence. Enlightenment is a simple realization of who you are, which is light, which is presence, which is awareness, infinite, invisible awareness, perceiving the forms of this world. Enlightenment is when you know yourself to be that. To be the awareness, to be presence, to be the underlying life behind the little me. For most people, they are trapped in a false identity that we can call ego, which is made up of thoughts. The thoughts in your mind, the little personal sense of me. That's the person. When that's all you know yourself to be, that's the ego. When all that you know yourself to be is the person, the name, the body, the memories, the personality, the roles that you play in this world, the character that you play. When that's all that you know yourself to be, you are the ego. You are a separated, fragmented entity living in the universe. When you are able to sense a deeper dimension to yourself that is beyond the person, that I would call light, the light of consciousness, we could call it presence, we could call it stillness. The deeper level of awareness that is not the person, but the deeper awareness that you are, the connecting source, the invisible perceiving self. When you are able to sense yourself as that and know yourself to be that, and you are able to retain that state of infinite awareness, that's what that word means. Now, how do you make that a permanent realization in your being? I would suggest, do not worry about making it a permanent realization in your being. Do not worry about presence and maintaining it. A lot of people learn about presence, learn about spirituality, learn about being awake and awakened in the present moment, but they try and hold on to it. And it's like, I'm going to hold on to it for the rest of my life. So I just need to become enlightened and then remain enlightened for the rest of my life. I'm going to become present and remain present for the rest of my life. And it doesn't work like that. Because the moment you start thinking, I need to hold on for it for the rest of my life, you've entered into the dimension of time. And you've lost the timeless now. The only time you ever need to focus on being enlightened, the only time you ever need to focus on being present is now. And you don't need to hold on to it. You don't need to retain it. You simply need to recognize yourself as the underlying awareness, the presence, now. And how do you do that? Firstly, simply come into the present moment, take note of it, become aware of it, As you become aware of the now, notice if there's any criticizing, judging or complaining coming from the mind. That's the veil of thought. Just become aware of that and see how it feels for a moment to drop those criticisms, judgments and complaining and simply see through all of that and neutralize the present moment with your awareness, which simply means decide it's not good, it's not bad, it just is. Your present moment right now, beyond good and bad, just is. And accept that. Just allow it to be. The world around you has no meaning. The world around you is not good. It is not bad. It is. And it has very little concern with your opinion of it. The universe is doing what it's going to do. The universe is much older than you, much wiser, and it knows what it's doing. It has a plan. It's unfolding a plan. What you have to say about it, the universe doesn't really care that much. However, if you are consistently criticizing, complaining and judging what is in the now, it puts you into a negative state. And when it puts you into a negative state, your internal state of consciousness determines what you experience in this world. As you may know if you've been following this channel now, your internal world does have an effect on what you experience. So when you're in a state of resistance to what is in the now, your energy becomes dense, it becomes heavy, it becomes resistant, it becomes not nice, and that's what you begin to see. That's what life reflects back to you. There is no objective world out there. The world out there is a projection of consciousness, and you are consciousness. So that which you see is a projection of you. So how do you change the projection? You change you. You change the vibrational frequency that you're operating from. And you do that simply by beginning to practice surrender and acceptance to what is in the now, because when you surrender and accept what is in the now, you become more accepting, more loving, more grateful, more giving, and these higher vibrational states will then begin to determine what you see. And there may be a bit of delay. The world around you now is an echo of your past state of consciousness that you've been living in. It's an echo. So change your state of consciousness now by practice accepting what is, aligning yourself with it. Doesn't mean you say it's okay or good, it is. It's what is. I'm going to begin working with it, not against it. And then I'm going to see what happens. All of this implies that you have enough awareness to do that. So the topic of this video was enlightenment. Enlightenment is this. Enlightenment is what you're experiencing now. The only difference is with enlightenment, you are in a oneness with it. The non-enlightened state, which is the ego, is the simple, consistent trying to run away from yourself, run away from the present moment, run away from life. It goes off into the past, it goes off into the future. It goes off into the mind, complaining, criticizing, judging. Enlightenment is simply not doing that, not allowing that to happen. Enlightenment is when light becomes all that you are. What is light? It is awareness. Freed from thinking. Stillness. Presence. A state of attention in the now without conceptual thinking. Don't look for enlightenment. That who is looking is what you're looking for. That who is looking is the enlightened consciousness. You don't look for it, you look from it. That which looks, that is consciousness. That is awareness. That is who you are. When you're not enlightened, when you're not in a state of presence or light consciousness, all that's happening is the looking self, the invisible consciousness, doesn't know itself, and it's fallen into the dream of form. It's fallen back into the mind. It's become identified with that little voice in your head that's constantly talking. And it believes itself to be that voice, to be that person. When consciousness no longer mistakes itself for a person and realizes it is consciousness, which is the infinite underlying perceiving awareness connecting all that is. When consciousness knows itself to be that, which is who you are, that is who you are that. When that happens, that's enlightenment. And it happens now through knowing who you are. Speaking to the person here. The person says it's difficult. The person says it can't happen. The person says it's challenging. The person says yes, but. And the reason why that happens is because the person doesn't become enlightened. If you're struggling with enlightenment, what's happening is the person is trying to become enlightened, and that doesn't happen. It's not possible. You have to leave the person behind. If there's any voice in your head now saying, yes, but Luke, it's difficult. Yes, but it's not as easy as what you're saying. That's because that's not you saying that, it's the person. And the person doesn't become enlightened. Enlightenment happens when the person no longer arises in the field of awareness that you are. So all of that is little thoughts and words in your brain are the person trying to seek something it cannot have. But you can have it. Because you are that. You are that. So do not listen to the little person that's trying to become enlightened, because that is the illusion, that's the Maya, that's the dream. It's a false identity that you have lost yourself in. It's a dream. It's not you. The reason why people get lost in spiritual seeking is because they are unwilling to let go of the person. So they remain as the person, as the little me, and they remain as that, and they try to become enlightened as the person. They believe the person becomes enlightened. That's not how it works. You have to see past the person and sense you, which is consciousness. The thing that stops people being enlightened is that they're continuously asking questions. How do I become enlightened? Is the underlying question that all spiritual seekers ask. Whatever question you have, underlying that is, how do I become enlightened? And the answer is, you don't become enlightened, because the questioner who's asking that question doesn't become enlightened. That's the dream. But the moment you stop concerning yourself with the questions, the moment you stop seeing yourself as the questioner, what's left is what you're seeking. Just be that. Know yourself as that. And rest in that knowing. It's not a conceptual knowing. The mind cannot understand enlightenment. The words that I'm saying mean nothing. They have no meaning to the mind. You don't need to worry about what I'm saying. You have to follow these words to your essence. And when you do that, the questions dissolve. They don't matter anymore, because the mind does not become enlightened. The person does not become enlightened. The person dissolves. And when the person dissolves, what's left? The light of consciousness, the light of awareness, the life itself that you are. So all you need to do, it's not the right word, you don't do, you see. You see yourself as the seer, that invisible looking self that's looking through your eyes right now is what you're seeking. The issue is you're looking over there, or you're looking up here in the mind, and you come up here, which means looking to the future, which doesn't exist because the future is just up here. There is no future, there is no past, there's memories in your mind and imagination of future present moments in your mind. Every time you look to the future for salvation, you enter up into the mind as the thought form, you get lost there, you're back in ego, you're back in the prison of form. Many people believe that having lots of money will free them. Many people believe that having a certain career, certain job, certain Relationship will free them. That's what you're looking for. Freedom, liberation, salvation. That's what you're seeking. And you seek it through things. The issue is that no thing can bring it to you, because salvation is the relinquishing of things and sensing yourself as the no thing, the awareness, the presence, the light. So no future moment can do this for you. In no future moment can this happen. Don't look to the future because you're looking up here in the mind. If you are a spiritual seeker, what you're missing is that the person is trying to become enlightened. The individual person, the individual me, is trying to become enlightened. And that's not how it works. The individual me does not become enlightened. So if there's any questions that come up in your mind, questioning of how, when, why, what if, how do I, but I can't do it because, it's not easy because, the only thing that's blocking enlightenment is that voice, is the questioner, that little voice that's asking the questions. Because you believe that voice is who you are. But that voice can never become enlightened. That person can never become enlightened. Only when the person moves aside does enlightenment then happen. Enlightenment is when the person no longer arises in the field of light that you are. When you know yourself to be light, presence, awareness, there's nothing to fear. There's nothing to protect. There's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to fret about. This is why, of course, Jesus said, "He who can be killed by the sword shall be killed. He who cannot shall live forever." What does that mean? He, she, who is identified with forms can, of course, be killed by the sword, because swords can kill forms, but swords cannot kill the formless essence that you are. So when you know yourself to be the formless essence, the transcendent self, the invisible looking self, that is not of this world. That's why Jesus said, "I am not of this world." But of course you are not of this world, because who you are is that essence. This is of course why Jesus used to say, "I am the light of the world," is what he used to say, but he also used to say, "You are the light of the world." What was he saying there? He's saying, I am Christ. I am Christ consciousness, which is the light of which we are speaking right now. He said he was a man that realized his essence, his connection with the divine, and became the Christ. And he said, "I am the light of the world. I am the Christ. And so are you. I am God's child, and so are you. Let me show you how to find it in yourself. I am the way, the truth, and the life. Be this way. Let me show you the way." That's what he was teaching. And it got lost. It got mistranslated. It got lost in the egoic. The mind couldn't grasp it. But when you listen with the spiritual ear, which is the ear of listening, not thinking, not conceptualizing, just listening from a place of open awareness, you can hear the truths of what Jesus and other spiritual texts are speaking of, which is that which we are speaking of right now. Relinquishing the person, which is denying thyself, and sensing the deeper Christ, the consciousness, the awareness that you are. I am the way. Be this way. Let me show you the way. That's what he was saying. Follow these words. Allow the light that I am speaking from to awaken the light in you. As this light awakens, healing happens of its own accord. Healing is the simple recognition of knowing who you are. Your body and mind naturally heal when you know who you are, which is light itself, the light of consciousness, the light of the world.